Okay, guys, we're going to talk about the legendary Stephen King, who I met once, and it was one of the highlights of my whole life. Some people just love him and really love the movies that his books have been turned into, like Stand By Me, The Green Mile, and The Shining. The newest adaptation of his work is called Mr. Harrigan's Phone.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little earlier, and it's a little scarier than I thought. Okay, it's a great premise. So Twin Cities Live movie critic Paul McGuire-Grimes sat down with the stars of the film to see what makes Stephen King's writing so special.
I got beat up pretty bad, and I want him to get what he deserves.
Stephen is my favorite author of all time, and this is your second collaboration after the two It movies. What do you think makes him such a brilliant writer, in your opinion?
I think what makes him special is the intimacy of the characters and how personal everything feels, even when there are elements, supernatural elements, like a killer clown from wherever, and you know, this where the dead is communicating with the living. All of it feels somehow reasonable because he creates these characters that feel so three-dimensional.
Do you maybe believe in signs from the other side? Do you think, has there been anything in your life where you're like, is this person still talking to me? Like, did that really just jump off the shelf and I can't explain it?
Yeah, I think that the last thing is I can't explain it would be the thing. I think these things happen to everyone, and you wonder, is it because I'm missing my father who's deceased, and that I happen to see something that reminds me of him, or it seems to be a message from him, or so, you know, whether it's actually my father or whether it's me thinking and tuning in, and we use such a small portion of our brain. You know, maybe it's that as well. I don't know, but I love the idea that perhaps it's true.
A person shouldn't call out unless they want an answer.
Ooh,
all right, okay, so
Paul.
let's bring in Paul right now, because I have to tell you that I was watching the trailer, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cool, good setup, and then it got a little dark, and then it got creepy, and then that scene where he puts his ear to the grave creeped me out so much.
I know, you were crying in the corner. Paul, is this super scary? How are people going to feel about this?
It really is not super scary. Okay. And what's great about this movie, if people watch it, is that it reminds you that Stephen King doesn't always do scary. Yeah. He does really great character studies. He may have a supernatural bent to it like we see here, but really it's these themes about grief and death and what happens after someone you have a relationship dies. Do you think that they're still around? Do you read signs from the universe about that? And how do you kind of reconcile someone's death in your own life? And Jane Martell, who I interviewed, he is the young kid in this. His name's Craig. He just brings so much heart and soul. And then you watch the scenes, the first half of the movie with him and Donald Sutherland, and there's a great banter between them and that kind of grandfather-grandson. I mean, that's not the relationship, but that kind of age difference relationship between them is really interesting.
This is why I love Paul's reviews, because if you just watch the trailer, you might get the wrong idea of what the movie is going to be. And then, like, Paul gives us some context, which is so good. Yeah. Okay, how many ticket stubs are you giving this?
So 3 out of 5. It's now streaming on Netflix.
On Netflix. Okay, Paul also sat down with the stars of a new Amazon Prime movie. This is called Catherine Called Birdie. Let's look at this.
Where is the Lady Catherine?
I've come here to propose marriage.
A man has come and asked for me by name. You cannot mean our Lady Catherine. She's a vile creature.
Some say she has a third ear.
She does.
Have you seen this third ear?
I've seen it.
Where?
Back of her neck.
What made you kind of want to take on this unconventional period piece?
I've always loved period films. Like, I find them to be the most delicious genre that there is. There's so much about sort of the past that has stuff to teach us about the present. And so that connection just felt very natural. And especially with this story, which is so modern in Karen Cushman's original conception of it in the book. And then she gave me the freedom to take it wherever I needed to.
Oh my God. Make it stop.
I can't control it. What do you still find that's just still so relatable for all the birdies out there that may be watching the movie?
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, I think that's true. I think it's certainly very authentic in the production design and all that kind of stuff. We have to get that right. But in relation to the way we speak, And we tried to make it as relatable as possible because there's no point in making it if it isn't relatable to a 2022 audience.
To have this, to get the chance to be Birdie every day was cool, and I took away from her that weirdness, to be weird and to not fit the mold is cool.
You don't get to decide who we are, where we go, or how much we cost. Like we're just things. We're not things. We're people, and we can think, and we can hear, and we can feel.
All right, Paul, we're going to get right to ticket stubs on this. You're going to tell us how many is this worth watching?
3 out of 5 ticket stubs.
Oh,
okay, that's a pretty good endorsement.
Prime. Okay, because
right.
I want to talk about this movie Blonde before we go. This is on Netflix. It looks beautiful. It's about Marilyn Monroe, but you're making a very stressed face.
We've seen many iterations of Marilyn Monroe on screen. I think that this is one of the most vulgar, disrespectful, and exploitative movies about her life and star Ana de Armas.
Whoa. Really?
So, yes, it may look beautiful, like he uses black and white and color and different aspect ratios, but none of that makes sense between going from flashbacks to present day or when she's her normal self, Norma Jean, versus when she's Marilyn. And it's actually based on Joyce Carol Oates' novel of the same name. So I'm saying novel because this movie is essentially fictional look at her entire life, from her abusive childhood to her being abused in Hollywood to her relationships with Joe DiMaggio, John F. Kennedy, and Arthur Miller. And it is like one tragic event after the next. And it is just so hard to watch, so gratuitous, so sexually gratuitous over and over and over again.
Are you giving it any
I
ticket
was going to say, you're actually making me want to watch it. So how many ticket stubs did you give it?
I gave it 1 out of 5. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's a very hard movie to sit through, but Ana de Armas does the best that she can do with this material.
Okay.
Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We love your reviews. Great to see you, buddy.
All right, I actually got to go watch that now. All right, visit Paul's website at paulstriptothemovies.com for updates on movies and streaming services. You can also listen to Paul every Friday on the Colleen and Bradley Show on My Talk 107.1.
Okay.